What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol GOEV for Canoo Inc. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this will, of course, be more of an update. We covered it on Friday, and what we were discussing in that video, if you go back and watch it, was essentially the fact that we've come a far distance, right, from here to here into a known overhead part of resistance, piece of resistance, at $9.27, coming from the bottom end of this range. It wouldn't be unreasonable, right, for there to be some sort of pullback. We had a couple of areas to watch, notably 845, but more importantly, the line in the sand was the top end of the prior balance at $7.90. And on today's session, that was the one that wanted to hold, right? So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that 845. Not so important anymore now that we've traded through it a number of times. And let's take a look at this through the lens of the 30-minute, right? How was the price action? Was it strong? Was it weak? So on and so forth. We'll come on in from the high of the move all the way down to the low. Note that the entire range of the day, I'm just dragging these off to the left so we can see the numbers, but the entire day's range was put in the first 30 minutes of the day. We then spent the time consolidating here, and that tells me a number of things. The first thing is that this was likely not sustained selling. It was likely some profit taking early on in the morning. The other sort of thing that supports this theory is if we take a look at the daily, right? Take a look down below at volume, right? If this was going to be more aggressive selling, obviously the volume bar would have been more on par with what we saw from Friday's session, but it clearly wasn't the case. A little bit more muted, and again, it just doesn't strike me as overwhelmingly strong selling. This would have done something like this. It would have continued to downtrend the entire day instead of, again, the entire range being set in the first 30 minutes and then consolidation or balance, as we like to call it, into the afternoon here. So to me, that's building the case for the potential that this was just a healthy pullback and we'll see some upside continuation. So what are the critical numbers that we need to get back up and over for this to see more upside? Well, if you notice, the 38.2 needs to be recaptured for some more upside. You can see some upper wicks are slightly above it, so that's the number I'm going to go with. But we're just going to map this out with a regular price level. Then we'll talk more nuance once we get this off the chart. So there we go. That's a little bit cleaner. So what I would watch out for here inside of Canoo would be, can we get back up and over that 850, which again, sort of ironic here. If you remember that level that we pulled off the chart, right, which was in here at 845, 850-ish in that zone, it was just slightly too low, and we didn't have any context to it. But when you look through the lens of fibs, you learn a little bit more, right? So that would be the number to recapture. If we can do that, fine. Looking for more healthy consolidation here, taking the break of 927 to, as we know, get into the upside target at 1022, and then that opens the door. Again, we're not saying it has to happen all in one day, all in 1 week, but from a structural perspective, the next major target is way up there at 12. And as we mentioned on Friday's video, again, I'm not anticipating that it happens all in one fell swoop, just like that. Just pointing out that would be the number to be watching for as and if there is any upside continuation. If we cannot recapture the 853, that's where things get a little bit more stale, in my opinion, noting that the line in the sand will still remain at 790, but it's not a buy point, right? You're not buying this as support in hopes that it comes back higher. You're just waiting to see what the reaction is. So if it bounces, phenomenal. You're still waiting for the recapture of that 853. That would be one way it plays out, and obviously the more bearish way would be we retest and break back down into that range under 790, the range being defined as this, right? And as we know from Friday's video, getting back under 790 puts into play the very high likelihood that we travel back down towards 7, the nice round numbers. So those are my thoughts here inside of Canoo. You have the critical areas that I'll be watching for and monitoring for, potential upside developments. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, definitely let me know down below in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.